The unexpected encounter. The vast emptiness of space held secrets beyond imagination, and on this particular day, those secrets would unfold in a confrontation that would echo through galactic history. The human flotilla, a collection of 5 sleek, adaptive warships, moved with calculated precision through an uncharted sector of space that would soon become legendary. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the HSS Prometheus, her dark eyes scanning the holographic displays that surrounded her. Each of her ships represented the pinnacle of human engineering, compact vessels designed not for intimidation, but for efficiency and adaptability. They were living proof of humanity's core philosophy: do more with less. Navigation report, she called out, her voice calm and steady. Lieutenant Marcus Chen responded immediately, his fingers dancing across the quantum navigation interface. We're approximately 0.3 light-years from our original survey point. Stellar cartography is mapping previously unrecorded spatial anomalies. What they didn't know, what they couldn't have anticipated, was that they had unknowingly crossed into a region strictly controlled by the Galactic Empire. A civilization so ancient and powerful that most species in the galaxy considered mere mention of their name to be a potential death sentence. The Empire's detection systems were instantaneous. Massive sensor arrays, spread across hundreds of star systems, picked up the minute energy signatures of the human ships within moments of their entry into the restricted zone. Deep within the heart of an immense command station that orbited a neutron star, Imperial communications officers began their standard threat assessment protocol. Unidentified vessels detected in Sector Omega-9, a young communications specialist reported, her voice crisp and emotionless. Computational analysis suggests non-standard ship configurations. The Imperial commander, a towering figure named Valarax, turned his attention to the holographic display. His species, evolved from a reptilian ancestry, had skin that shifted between metallic grays and deep obsidian, a biological adaptation that reflected their technological supremacy. Rebels, he questioned, more to himself than to his crew. Or perhaps another foolish species attempting to challenge Imperial sovereignty? The response was immediate. A squadron of Imperial warships, each one large enough to obliterate entire planetary colonies, was dispatched. These were not mere ships but mobile fortresses, bristling with weapons that could reshape stellar landscapes with a single volley. Aboard the Prometheus, the crew remained surprisingly relaxed. This was not bravado, but a calculated psychological approach. Humanity had learned through centuries of conflict that fear was often a more debilitating weapon than any physical armament. "They're coming in hot," Marcus observed, tracking the Imperial fleet's approach. Massive energy signatures. Conventional tactics would suggest immediate evasive maneuvers. Captain Rodriguez smiled. "We're not conventional, Lieutenant." The Imperial communication channel crackled to life. Commander Valarax's voice was a blend of condescension and pure, unadulterated power. "Unidentified vessels. You have entered restricted Imperial space. Surrender immediately or be terminated." The human response was unexpected. A brief transmission, laden with what could only be described as humor. "Nice greeting," came Captain Rodriguez's reply. "Lovely neighborhood you've got here. Bit crowded, though." The Imperial communications team was stunned. This was not the typical response of a species about to be annihilated. This was mockery. Commander Valarax's metallic skin rippled with what could only be interpreted as confusion and growing irritation. Who were these beings? What gave them the right to respond with such levity? Little did the Empire know, this was exactly how humanity operated. When faced with insurmountable odds, they didn't cower, they adapted, they strategized, and most importantly, they maintained their sense of humor. The stage was set. A small human flotilla versus the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. And nobody, not even the Empire, knew what was about to unfold. Tactical divergence. The tension between the human flotilla and the Imperial fleet grew with each passing moment. What had begun as a routine interception was rapidly transforming into something far more complex. Aboard the Prometheus, Captain Elena Rodriguez and her crew were executing a strategy that defied everything the Galactic Empire understood about combat. Lieutenant Maya Kapoor, the ship's tactical specialist, monitored the Imperial fleet's movements with an intensity that belied her calm exterior. Her fingers danced across holographic displays, analyzing every minute detail of the approaching warships. "Their fleet configuration is interesting," she remarked to Captain Rodriguez. "Completely symmetrical. Predictable. Classic Imperial doctrine, maximum firepower, minimum flexibility." The Imperial ships moved with a precision that spoke of millennia of refined military doctrine. Each vessel was a testament to technological superiority, massive constructs that dwarfed the human ships in every conceivable dimension. Energy readings suggested weaponry capable of destroying entire planetary systems with a single volley. Commander Valarax watched the human flotilla with growing frustration. Their response had been nothing short of bizarre. Most species confronted with an Imperial fleet would have already surrendered or attempted a futile escape. These humans, however, seemed almost amused. "Scan their vessels again," he ordered his lead technical officer. "I want a complete molecular-level analysis." The scanning process revealed something perplexing. The human ships, while small, were constructed with materials and technologies that defied simple categorization. Adaptive alloys that seemed to shift and reconfigure themselves. Propulsion systems that didn't match any known galactic standard. Energy signatures that flickered and changed in ways that made traditional targeting systems struggle. Aboard the Prometheus, Captain Rodriguez was fully aware of the psychological warfare they were conducting. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to think beyond conventional limitations. Where the Empire saw size and overwhelming force as ultimate, the psychological battlefield. The encounter between the human flotilla and the Imperial fleet had transcended traditional warfare. What began as a simple interception had morphed into a complex dance of technological innovation and psychological strategy. Deep within the Imperial command structure, an emergency council convened. Representatives from various Imperial sectors gathered in a massive circular chamber, holographic displays flickering with data from the ongoing confrontation. The room was a marvel of technological integration, walls made of living crystalline structures that could process information faster than most species could comprehend thought. Grand Strategist Zarantha, a veteran of countless galactic conflicts, studied the battle reports with growing concern. Her tentacle-like appendages manipulated holographic data streams, revealing layers of information that made the human flotilla's actions increasingly perplexing. "This is not a typical engagement," she announced to the council, her voice a melodic blend of frequencies that carried both authority and genuine curiosity. "These humans are conducting warfare on a level we've never encountered." The primary point of contention was the human ship's approach to combat. Traditional Imperial doctrine relied on overwhelming force, massive energy weapons, and technological superiority. But these humans were different. They were using something far more complex, adaptive thinking. Aboard the Prometheus, Captain Elena Rodriguez understood the deeper implications of their strategy. This wasn't just about winning a battle, it was about challenging an entire philosophical approach to conflict. "We're not just fighting their ships," she explained to her senior officers during a strategy briefing. "We're fighting their entire conceptual understanding of warfare." Lieutenant Maya Kapoor pulled up a comparative analysis. The Imperial fleet's combat algorithms were built on millennia of consistent warfare, predictable patterns of engagement that had subdued countless civilizations. Humanity's approach was fundamentally different. Where the Empire saw conflict as a matter of superior firepower, humans saw it as a complex problem-solving exercise. The quantum drift maneuvers continued to baffle Imperial targeting systems. Each time the Imperial ships attempted to lock onto the human vessels, they would seemingly phase between potential spatial locations. It was more than advanced navigation, it was a fundamental reimagining of spatial interaction. Commander Valarax, watching from his command ship, felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries: genuine uncertainty. Analyze their communication patterns, he ordered his communication specialist. There's more happening here than simple evasion. The human transmissions were a masterpiece of psychological warfare. Mathematical equations that were simultaneously communication, technological probe, and strategic misdirection. Each transmission contained multiple layers of meaning, a concept entirely foreign to the linear thinking of the Imperial communication protocols. On the Prometheus, the crew maintained an atmosphere of calculated calm. Humor became their shield, with their weapon. Their radio chatter, intercepted by Imperial systems, was filled with jokes, casual observations, and a complete lack of the fear that typically preceded surrender. Incoming energy signature, Marcus Chen reported. Looks like they're preparing a concentrated blast. Captain Rodriguez's response was characteristic. Perfect timing for lunch, actually. Anyone want to bet on how they'll try to hit us? The Imperial blast came, a concentrated energy beam that could reduce small moons to plasma. But the human ships were no longer where the targeting systems predicted. Instead, they had used the energy signatures detection as a means to calculate an even more complex quantum drift trajectory. The psychological impact was profound. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Empire found itself confronted by an opponent that didn't just refuse to be defeated, but seemed to be enjoying the very process of challenge. Zarantha, watching the battle unfold, made an observation that would soon ripple through Imperial intelligence networks: they're not fighting to win. They're fighting to learn. As the confrontation continued, one thing became increasingly clear. This was no ordinary battle. This was a fundamental collision of philosophies, a moment that would redefine humanity's place in the galactic order. The humans had entered this conflict as an unknown quantity. They would emerge as something far more significant, a species that challenged everything the Galactic Empire believed about power, conflict, and intelligence. The turning point. The battle had evolved beyond a simple military engagement. It had become a complex philosophical confrontation that would reshape understanding across the galaxy. The human flotilla's approach had transformed from mere tactical resistance to a profound demonstration of cognitive flexibility. Deep within the Imperial research archives, historians and strategists began to analyze the encounter with increasing urgency. The data streams revealed something unprecedented, a species that didn't just challenge the Empire's military might, but fundamentally questioned its entire approach to existence. Dr. Arax Valen, the Empire's chief xenological researcher, found himself in an unprecedented situation. His entire career had been built on studying conquered civilizations, cataloging their strengths and weaknesses. But humanity was different. They were writing an entirely new rulebook of interstellar engagement. It's not about technology, he muttered to his research assistant, reviewing the battle logs for the 1000th time. It's about perspective. Aboard the Prometheus, Captain Elena Rodriguez understood this intuitively. The human approach wasn't about defeating the Empire, it was about demonstrating a fundamentally different way of thinking about conflict, challenge, and innovation. Lieutenant Maya Kapoor had been working on something extraordinary. Using the quantum drift data from their previous engagements, she had begun to develop a predictive model that could essentially read the Imperial fleet's potential actions before they occurred. It's like they're playing chess, she explained to Rodriguez, while we're playing a game they don't even understand exists. The Imperial fleet's frustration was becoming palpable. Commander Valerax had been recalled to the Central Command for an emergency briefing. The encounter with the human flotilla was no longer just a military engagement, it had become a matter of galactic significance. The Imperial Council chamber was a marvel of technological integration. Holographic displays showed multiple perspectives of the ongoing conflict, each angle revealing something more perplexing than the last. Representatives from various Imperial sectors watched with a mixture of confusion and growing concern. Grand Strategist Zarantha presented her analysis. These humans are not just resisting, she explained, her multi-tonal voice carrying both scientific precision and a hint of reluctant admiration. They are fundamentally redefining the parameters of conflict. The human flotilla's approach had exposed critical vulnerabilities in the imperial military doctrine. Their ships were smaller, less technologically advanced by traditional metrics, yet they were consistently outmaneuvering a fleet that had subjugated entire civilizations. What made humanity unique was their approach to problem-solving. Where the Empire saw obstacles, humans saw opportunities. Where imperial strategy relied on overwhelming force, human tactics emphasized adaptability, creativity, and psychological innovation. A critical moment approached. The Imperial fleet, frustrated by their inability to decisively engage the human ships, was preparing a concentrated assault that would typically annihilate any resistance. Multiple energy cannons charged, targeting algorithms locked into what should have been an inevitable victory. But the humans were already several steps ahead. "Prepare quantum resonance protocol," Captain Rodriguez commanded, a slight smile playing on her lips. The term meant nothing to the Imperial observers. But what followed would become a moment of legend. As the Imperial energy weapons prepared to fire, the human ships didn't just dodge. They began to emit a complex quantum frequency that started to interact with the Imperial ship's own energy systems. It was more than evasion, it was a form of technological communication that bordered on quantum hacking. The Imperial weapons began to destabilize. Not through direct destruction, but through a sophisticated resonance that essentially confused their fundamental operating parameters. Commander Valarax watched in disbelief as his supposedly invincible fleet found its most advanced weapons turning into nothing more than sophisticated paperweights. This was more than a battle. This was a declaration: humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they would play by their own rules. The turning point had arrived. And nothing would ever be the same again. A new galactic order. The aftermath of the encounter would be remembered as a pivotal moment in galactic history. What began as a routine interception had transformed into a fundamental reshaping of interstellar dynamics. In the weeks following the confrontation, the Galactic Empire found itself in an unprecedented position. Their most fundamental assumptions about power, technological superiority, and military engagement had been systematically dismantled by a species they had initially considered inconsequential. The Imperial Council convened in a state of collective introspection. Grand Strategist Zarantha presented a comprehensive analysis that would become a turning point in Imperial doctrine. "Humanity represents more than a military challenge," she explained, her multi-tonal voice resonating through the chamber. "They represent a complete paradigm shift in our understanding of intelligence and adaptability." Aboard the Prometheus, Captain Elena Rodriguez understood the broader implications of their encounter. This wasn't just a victory, it was an introduction. Humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage in the most unexpected way possible. Lieutenant Maya Kapoor had been analyzing the quantum resonance data from their engagement. The technological breakthrough they had inadvertently discovered was revolutionary. By understanding how to manipulate quantum frequencies, they had essentially created a new form of communication that transcended traditional technological barriers. Commander Valarax, once the epitome of imperial confidence, now found himself in an unprecedented position of reflection. The encounter had stripped away layers of imperial arrogance, revealing a more nuanced understanding of potential and innovation. The galactic communication networks buzzed with speculation. Diplomatic channels that had long been dormant began to activate. Other civilizations, long subjugated or marginalized by the Empire, saw in humanity's approach a new model of resistance and innovation. "We didn't just fight a battle," Captain Rodriguez explained to her crew during a reflective briefing. "We demonstrated a fundamental truth about intelligence and adaptation." The Imperial Research Archives began a comprehensive study of human historical and cultural data. They discovered a species defined by resilience, creativity, and an almost paradoxical combination of humor and serious innovation. Humanity's ability to find opportunity in limitation was something the Empire had never encountered. Technological exchanges began tentatively. The quantum resonance technology developed during the encounter became a point of mutual interest. For the first time, the Galactic Empire approached another species not as a potential conquest, but as a potential partner. Grand Strategist Zarantha's report to the Imperial Council was revolutionary. Humanity cannot be categorized through our traditional understanding of technological development, she argued. They represent a new model of intelligence, one that prioritizes adaptability over raw power. The diplomatic repercussions were immediate. Other civilizations that had long existed under imperial control began to reassess their own potential. Humanity had demonstrated that technological superiority was not about the size of one's weapons, but about the ability to think beyond established parameters. Aboard the Prometheus, the crew celebrated with a mixture of professional pride and genuine humor. They had done more than survive an encounter with the most powerful military force in the galaxy. They had fundamentally challenged its entire existential approach. "We didn't just win a battle," Lieutenant Marcus Chen remarked, reviewing the encounter logs. "We introduced a new way of thinking about conflict, technology, and potential." As the human flotilla prepared to continue its exploratory mission, they carried with them a profound understanding. They were no longer just another species in the vast galactic landscape. They were pioneers of a new approach to interstellar engagement. The Galactic Empire had entered the encounter believing in the supremacy of their technology and military might. They emerged with a fundamental realization: true power lies not in overwhelming force, but in the ability to adapt, to innovate, and to approach challenges with creativity and resilience. Humanity had arrived. And the galaxy would never be the same again.